Hello, everybody. This is Boxing Bros UK. I'm Chris, and that's my co-host, the Boxing Brain, Andrew.
Hello.
Today's topic, we're going to be talking about American boxing fans. Like, not all of you, obviously, because we've seen there's a lot of boxing channels and stuff like that. Like, I just want to give a shout out to Boxing Bros USA. They're great boxing fans. Like that's a really good channel. I just wanted to put that out there. But anyway, the boxing fans in the arenas and some of the trolls as well online. Like we just want to have a little discussion about what is your deal? Like why don't you support your fighters? It's just a bit strange.
And leave some comments. Leave some comments. If the video does well, I hope it will. Then leave some comments on either disagree with us or add some things in there why you think the American fans are maybe a bit harsh on their sportsmen or fighters, and then let us know.
Yeah, I want to start firstly. I just want to play a video. This is what inspired me to do this video. So you've got Nico Ali, yeah, Muhammad Ali's grandson. He lost the fight. Then he rematched the guy. He beat him. He did beat him. He knocked the guy down. He had a dislocated shoulder. He was shoulder his true heart, a warrior.
Yeah.
End of the fight, the geezer's getting booed, and it seems to be a common theme. Like I don't know, a lot when they're in the arenas, the fans, the American fans, they're always booing people all the time. These guys are getting the face smashed in, and sometimes it's not really just cause. But I just want to play you guys this clip of Nico Ali after he's getting booed, and what he says. I think it's quite interesting. But other boxers like hating on him and stuff. Okay, here we go.
We look at you avenging your first loss. The crowd's not very. We look at you avenging your first loss. The crowd's not very happy with the decision. Another close fight. Is there a trilogy in the books, or are you done with Sonar Kale?
I feel like I beat him twice now, but if this fight didn't prove it, I will fight absolutely anyone. One thing that's for sure, I got to clear. Teofimo Lopez said in an interview a few weeks ago before this fight, he said he disrespected my family, saying that I'm only in boxing because I'm desperate for money and fame. And I thought that was real wrong for someone that I used to look up to say. But, it is what it is. I just want to let everyone know that I chose the path of boxing. I chose the path of legacy. If I wanted to, I could be a millionaire right now. Before this fight, I denied a multi-million-dollar contract from MVP Promotions to fight Jake Paul, and I'm fighting a real fighter tonight. So I'm not a part of that circus league of boxing. This is the real league of boxing. This is what I'm going to do.
All right, go get that shoulder fixed. Tess, God, we send it back to you.
Like, what are your thoughts on that, Andrew? I think that's the first time you've seen that.
Yeah, it's actually, funny enough, I'd come across it because I think it went viral a bit. I'd actually seen it on Twitter or somewhere like that. So it's the second time I've seen it. So my feelings on it, first of all, I watched the highlights of the fight as well. And there's a part when, he's just jabbing. He's just jabbing because his shoulder's gone. And he's trying to punch his shoulder. He's visibly trying to punch his shoulder back in. I don't know if he succeeds or not. Which shows a little bit of heart and a little bit. He's clearly, going through. I've dislocated my shoulder, so it's quite a painful experience. It's not pleasant. Even worse when you're trying to get it back in. And I think, look, there's two kind of things to this. You can sort of say, oh, look, does he need to kind of justify it in a post-fight interview? Maybe just wanted to say his piece. Looks like looks like we got some technical issues. Oh, you've swapped over on my screen. That threw me off.
I don't know why that happened. But anyway, carry on.
I'm on the left-hand side. I'm not used to this. I'm normally to your right. And so, my other feeling to it is fair play to him, because if that's true, and he could have taken big money to fight Jake Paul, but it does make a little bit of a mockery of the fighter, of the sport. And I think fair play to him, and I'm sure you'll agree on this anyway. I think fair play to him. He's going to be judged because of his grandfather, who's an all-time legend. Some people's eyes, the greatest, referred to as the greatest. and he's trying to forge a career in a very tough sport, and the fans are getting on his back, booing him, and he's given his all. You can tell he's given his all, and I think he's probably part of that interview is frustration. Chris, he's probably a bit frustrated, and he's venting a bit.
Yeah, and I think like give the guys respect, man. Like obviously,
Yeah.
I don't think it was that much of a bad decision. It was a close fight. He knocked him down like, and he won like, and with a dislocated shoulder. Give the guy some respect. And he's trying to make it in boxing, like it's a hard sport. And he isn't becoming a YouTuber. Look, Prince Nassim Hamad, yeah, he's got a son. Straight away, he's going in misfits boxing straight away. He's not even trying normal boxing. He's going straight into fighting YouTubers and doing misfits, yeah. Off his dad's name.
What is it? Just to touch on that, Chris. What's that about? Because I saw some early interviews where he looked like he was trying to go through the ranks and trying to, like, you know, find a path in boxing.
No, it's a different son.
Like,
it's a different. It's a different
it's
son.
the other one.
Yeah. So he's got one that's doing it properly, going through the ranks, going for titles, blah blah blah.
Oh, that's what I thought you were.
And then he's got another son.
That's what I thought you were talking about. Yeah.
No, he's got another son who's a bit younger. Who's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going straight for the misfits. So
fair enough.
Exactly, fair enough. That's it. But when someone's trying, why are the American fans getting on his back and booing him and giving him shit and being horrible? Even the fellow American boxers, you should be. That's Muhammad Ali's grandson. You should be helping him. You should be advising him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't sit there and say Muhammad Ali is your favorite fighter. You love him, and then you're dissing his fucking grandson when he's trying. It's wrong. For me, that is just completely wrong way to be, a wrong attitude. And I think that's just onto the next point. Like, if any American fans watching this video, I hope you are. Like, what is the deal in the arenas? Like the atmosphere. Like, why? Because I do see a pattern. Like, they're quick to like boo people all the time. Like, I know Sonny Edwards got booed when he was fighting. I think that was more of a Mexican crowd. Maybe was it a Mexican crowd that Bam Rodriguez? Was it in Mexico that fight?
Yeah. Oh, you talking about the Bam when he fought Bam Rodriguez? Oh no, when he fought his last fight, Sonny Edwards' last fight.
Yeah.
Oh, on the Bam Rodriguez card, of course. Yeah, I think it would have been a high amount of kind of Latino Americans.
Yeah. So maybe it's just they don't like the style. Maybe that's it. Like, because it was just a bit too much flashy stuff. But like, I will say in the UK
against the British fighter, Chris, to a degree, but when it's their own fighters, that's a little bit where you kind of like, unless it's a poor performance, like, because I remember watching a couple of AJ fight. You know, when he was going through that period after the Rees defeat, and he was having a few tentative performances, and you could hear a few sort of groans in the crowd, but it wasn't full on sort of booing, getting on there, they were trying to lift him. You know,
that's the thing.
Whereas
even
it's strange.
Like when Teofimo fought Sandor Martin, everyone was booing him then because obviously it was a poor performance and people were booing. But you know, it's just like you got to get behind your guys. You know, Like in England, when people lose, so we cheer them sometimes. You know, because like the atmosphere in the stadium, in the stadiums, like we really have that passion. We really get behind our fighters, win, lose or draw. We might bitch and complain and troll them a bit outside, but when they're in that ring and they're fighting, they have got the unconditional love of the British fans, no matter what. Especially if they're fighting someone from a different country, you know. And we've even got the respect of like when Lomachenko beat Luke Campbell, After he was getting booed the whole fight. At the end of the fight, he was getting cheered because we have the respect that we've come over here and he's beat our guy. Like, and I don't know where the passion in American fans, especially in stadium. I just don't think it's there, or it's all wrong, or I don't know.
I think there's a few things to this as well, and I know I don't want to sort of talk too much about football, but with the England football team at the moment, our manager's getting a lot of backlash, the team's getting a lot of backlash, the crowd again, and we've gone through and we've been winning games, but it's the manner in which we've been playing that's been really poor, and sometimes I don't think it's so much lack of effort, but I think. There is this kind of unrest amongst the fans, and they can. So I'm not saying that British fans can't get on our sportsmen's backs in certain sports.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing I've always noticed with British sports, and particularly in boxing, I'm going back to the Eubanks and the Ricky Hattons, people like that, Nigel Benn, right, who absolutely leave everything in the ring. And I think the one thing I've always noticed with British fans is that there's almost this primitive support. We love a trier. Say God loves a trier. British sports fight fans, I think, really love a trier. Like, we don't even care if you're awful. Like, if you're just giving absolutely everything, like, you can't.
We love it.
Ted Cheeseman, another name, just gives everything in the ring. And I don't know, you can't discredit that. And going back to Ali's grandson, he was clearly giving his all a little bit, and it is a little bit. I don't know what to make of it. To be honest, it's odd.
I just think it's really wrong. Really, really. The whole situation. Teofimo Lopez, wanker. You shouldn't be saying that. The crowd out of order. They shouldn't be booing him like that. Especially like he's putting his heart on the line, and you can clearly see, unless you're all fucking spastic, that he's dislocating his shoulder. Like, I don't get it. But what moving on? I wanted to say
quickly on that. I'd understand if he was just absolutely running away the whole fight, Chris. Then that's a different conversation.
He was giving it. He was giving it. One thing I think it might be attributed to. So I was watching an interview with Bob Arum where he was saying that he said, he loves fighting in Britain because he said the British fans are the best fans in the world, boxing fans, which everyone always says about us. But he said in England, 18,000 stadium like the O2 Arena sells out in a week. He says you can't do that in America, and he said, and obviously, and because they can't do that, the working class don't get to go to the big boxing fights, and and I think maybe that's why it's like the way it is, because the working class.
The ticket prices, Chris. The ticket prices.
Because the ticket prices are so bloody ridiculously high.
Have you heard what the pay-per-view was for Garcia versus? I think it was Garcia Tanker. It might have been the pay-per-view was something like fucking £100 or something, wasn't it? $100 or whatever it was.
So really, maybe we're being a bit harsh because, like, rich people. They are snobby. Oh, he's not doing very good. They're booing because they don't appreciate hard work. They don't. Like majority of rich people, they're a bit up themselves, and that's probably why it is like that. Because you're working class, you're straight goers, you're people who work 9 to 5, have a family, work hard. They're not living a lavish lifestyle. They ain't in the arenas, and they're the people that make the atmosphere. I think that's what makes the atmosphere. Them kind of people. I'm not dissing rich, like really, really rich people who can afford it, but your working class mentality, or even your working class mentality, you need a bit of that. You don't just want all loads of millionaire rich people and celebrities watching all the fights. What about your average man on the street? He should, and I think that's the problem in the American arenas, why the atmosphere is the way it is, and the fighters are always getting booed, and I just think it's because you ain't got your average man on the street in them arenas watching the fights because you can't afford it.
Yeah.
And
also, I think probably the other element to it is that if you're paying exponential rates to watch a fight, you're going to expect a monumental show, and it's just going to be underwhelming because how can you live up to that expectation? Like, oh, yeah. Who was it you said? Said the boxer. Who is it you quoted as saying the British boxing fans are the best in the world? I missed what you said. Who was it that said that?
Bob Arum. Bob Arum.
I funny enough, because I saw that interview today where he said that, and
because he said in America
You know, when
says,
you've got
put,
American promoters and legends in.
Yeah, when you've got the legends saying that, and like Bob Arum was saying, he says we can't do that in the USA. We can't announce like a big fight, like two good fighters, but not for a world title. And he said we can't even we won't sell out in a week, 20,000 seats. He said it's never going to happen. So that's why they charge more.
Yeah.
And then all the celebrities go, and all the rich people. You know what I mean? So your average man on the street, he's very rarely getting in them arenas. And because the pay-per-view's so high, so one person will buy it and they'll all have to go to a bar to watch it or something. Do you know what I mean? So it's not really reflected.
The conversation has to be, Chris. I think what it comes down to, if this is the case, and it sounds like it is, that they're paying these huge prices to get the celebrities in, the people that can afford it, because they'll never be able to sell out the arena anyway. That tells me there isn't the attraction from the public to go and watch the sport like there is with Major League Baseball, with the NFL, with the NHL, with all of the other ones. So because I'm just looking down here, right? It's not like they don't have a plethora of stars, right? Ryan Garcia, worldwide star. You know, Mikey Garcia before, because he's an actor, retired now, right? 4-weight world champion. Yeah. Tank Davis, right? Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, Lopez, Sean Porter before he you know, it's not like, you know, Deontay Wilder. It's not like they don't have the stars in the sport. So what's going on?
But the thing is, they're stars in boxing because of their achievements, but for actual celebrity, like if you think about it, Deontay Wilder was the heavyweight world champion, until he fought Fury. No one gave a shit nobody cared about Wilder. No one knew who Wilder was until the Fury saga started. No one, he could walk down the street in some places and no one would know. Like it's just weird.
1 in 10 people, I reckon, Chris. 1 in 10, 20 people would have known who Wilder was before the Fury trilogy. And he was the WBC green belt, right? The Mike Tyson belt that I call it. You know, heavyweight
Ali belt,
champion of the world. And like over here, this thing, I know we're small. Look, there is a wider conversation to be about popularity of sports, and we're a smaller nation. But Anthony Joshua at the time, I mean, I think he was probably unified, but he is like a household name, name in every house.
Still now, and it's just it was just quite sad.
Maybe the promotion is not there for the sport. I'd love to know, and I'd love to get an American on our podcast, on our stream. I'd love to, you know, get people on our Twitter, on our Instagram, in the comments here, and I'd love to know, because maybe we're missing something. Maybe it's because the sport is just not, because you go back in the day, right? The Mike Tysons, the Evander Holyfield one, all of these
Big
guys.
Daddy Bo.
Yeah, Big Daddy, but all these guys, right? And it was, you know, they were household names in America for sure.
Yeah. James Toney, Roy Jones Jr. You know what I mean? Like, these guys couldn't walk down the street without getting mobbed. And then now, like, you've got people who are like world champions and no one gives a shit. No one knows them. No one cares.
It's so like Terence Crawford, like, I'd love to know. Like, I don't know what, but over here, like, as boxing fans like you and me, he's a legend. Like, but the problem is, and maybe it just doesn't resonate. I mean, over here, if you ask 10 people in the shop who Terence Crawford was, even in England, they wouldn't have a clue who he was.
No,
you know,
it's true.
So is it a kind of reflection of American fighters aren't talked about, aren't projected outside of the boxing?
Maybe.
I don't know what it's not resonating.
Yeah, they're not. I don't know. Maybe just the sport is just like with the video with Hatman. It's an old video, but like boxing is becoming a niche sport in America because it's so big.
Yeah,
and maybe the personalities of the fighters coming through are the best. Like you've got like the heavyweight division spearheads boxing, I think, and you had Wilder. For some reason, no one really got on board with him until the Fury fights. Now you've got no one.
Jared Anderson.
And Jared Anderson, like, oh my God. And he's just not doing himself any favors by crying on TV, getting himself arrested for fucking gun charges and all that shit. Like, he's not being a good role model. Like, but, and another thing though, a lot of fighters, they used to do things like Muhammad Ali, Tyson, they used to go out to schools and speak to schools about boxing. They used to go to boxing gyms, put their face out there. They used to do loads of publicity. They used to get themselves on TV, going on the talk shows. They used to promote themselves, you know. And maybe people think, oh, I've got social media, so I don't need to. And you do. Some people still watch TV. You know what I mean?
Do you think boxing in America is on a sort of similar level to soccer out there? I know soccer's getting bigger and Lionel Messi plays out there now, but you know, I was thinking, like, Lionel Messi was like, well, can you imagine, like, he's the most famous, or regarded as the best player ever in many people's eyes. He was walking around America and like, like he could never go shopping in Argentina or Spain, wherever he was playing. And he had to go out at like 3 a.m. just to be able to go to the supermarket, right? Because he was mobbed. And he was just walking around like America, like, and only, like, nobody knew who he was.
It's crazy, man. Like, maybe it's getting that way. Yeah, it's like I said, it's kind of becoming like a niche sport because obviously there's not fights every week, like soccer, like games every week. So it's just becoming like a niche sport. Like, oh, we'll watch the boxing. Who's fighting? Are they any good?
Yeah.
And then they'll go on YouTube. Oh, yeah, they're not very good, and that's it.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody in the comments again, but
oh, we lost you there.
Than what their own American fighters are.
No.
Actually, AJ and Fury are big in America. I'm sure they are. I'm sure
they are. No, yeah, in boxing circles. But I think we'll conclude there. I'll make this part 1. But if any Americans want to come on the show and give us your perspective, if you've been to fights, you've been in arenas, and just so we can have a little bit of an insight and understand what's going on over there with the fans, you know, and the mentality and why it's going down, you know. And that's Boxing Bros UK. Peace out.
Sorry, it's a bit of delay on me. Apologise, Chris, a bit of a delay. Just last, I was going to say, you know, we want there to be like recognisable American fighters. You know, we love America. We love American sports as well. Like some of the American. We're not putting American fight fans down or American boxers. We just wanted to make that clear. We'd actually like it to be huge over there because then it would just make the sport that we love even bigger. So
bigger.
Yeah,
definitely. Excellent point there, Andrew. So on that note, guys, we'll see you later. Be good, and I hope to hear from you soon. Subscribe.
Peace.